After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
The goal of tracking points in a racing championship is to mark who's best and separate them from the rest. Trouble is, sometimes the best stick together so closely you just can't get them apart. And only now, headed into race number 5, does Maxime Plant solidify himself in the points lead. Welcome to the BRP iRacing series on PitStop TV. Andrew Cardinale with Joe Donahue alongside Trey Shuttlesworth behind the social media scenes. Thank you so much for tuning in on our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter for the third round of the BRP Pro Late Model Tour, this time at the virtual Lanier Raceplex. We've talked previously about Lanier's rocky past, but each and every time the ones and zeros align with iRacing.com's sim software, the virtual future for this track gets brighter and brighter. Just a couple of weeks ago, we witnessed an amazing finish with the BRP Asphalt Modified Tour that came down to a 7/1000th of a second margin of victory. And after these guys did battle at Lima Land in Ohio, honestly, Joe, we could see another similar finish this evening. These guys have been sure to excite each and every race so far. As I mentioned, we're coming into race number 5 now of the season, and I expect nothing but the same.
Absolutely, Andrew. I think this racetrack's going to set us up for some really great racing. We went to Knoxville last week, so we had a flat half-mile track. Now we come out to Lanier, a little bit more of a short track setup for these dirt cars, and obviously the grooves are going to run in really nicely up top and on the bottom at Lanier. It's always a great racetrack on the platform, and I agree 100%. Every time they update the iRacing sim, this track just gets more and more exciting. These guys have been racing hard these past few weeks. There's been a lot of guys trying to get up there with the big three, if you want to call them, from our first 3 races of the season. And I think they're starting to slowly break through, so I'm expecting more of that. And I'm hoping that we get to see a couple new names up in that podium at the end of the race tonight.
We talk about point standings a lot, of course, and it's just 5 markers separating first and second. Maxime Plant, the gentleman, and Travis Miller, the thriller. Earl Jackson, he's the third of those big 3 you mentioned, but boy, he is a little ways back there. He is not at all quite where he needs to be. Now, the gap says, 22 points from him up to Maxime Plant. It's a little bit more... What, that math is just a little bit wrong, isn't it? It's 32 points from Maxime Plant to Earl Jackson. I was looking at that, I knew something was just slightly off. It's 32 points there from first to third. So our mistake there. But then Gavin Eisel checks in, and he's closer than I thought he would be to Earl Jackson, and he's closer to Earl Jackson than Earl Jackson is to the lead. So clearly, I think we're really in just a situation of the top 2. I don't know that Earl Jackson is quite as big as we maybe thought, but he does have that 1 race win. He's been so consistent, keeping himself up on the podium week in, week out. He is still a championship contender. It's just going to take some work.
Yeah, and anybody back there behind Earl Jackson, Gavin Eisel even, they're still within the runnings. We got plenty of races left, but we looked at those first 3 races of the season, Volusia, Lernerville, Limaland. We had Maxime Plant, Travis Miller, Earl Jackson on the podium for all 3 of those. Gavin Eisel's been holding on in the points, and last week helped him especially getting into the 3rd spot at Knoxville. I think that might carry some momentum forward with that 18 car, but Earl Jackson didn't even get in the top 10 last week. I mean, that was not the type of performance that Earl wanted to keep going in this series. And I'm looking to see if he can get it together and get back up to the top, because the last time we went to a short high bank track, being Limaland, he was the winner at the end of the night.
Yeah, I think certainly we've got to watch out for that 58 car this evening. Now, we didn't see Jamie Porter in the field last week. That's why he's actually dropped out of the top 10 in points, but he is back in the field this evening. That could change things up. And we saw how fast he was at Limaland. I expect him to be pretty quick this evening. Now, he sits 7th in practice, but practice is so difficult to gauge proper speed as the night goes on, because the track gets torn up and the track changes throughout that session. But I can tell you, Travis the Thriller Miller is currently fastest. We're in for a treat this evening. It's going to change up these point standings even more, especially... Excuse me, we talk so much about like 4th through 9th there, even down to 10th and some others. Or sorry, let me back up. We talk so much about the points leaders, but from 4th to 9th and even 10th, they are so closely packed together. That's where I was trying to get with that all of that's going to change, especially when you've got Gavin Eisel, Randy Giroux, and Hunter Reeves separated by just 9 points, and it's only 3 more points back to Hunter Holberg. A small little break before Adam Hilton and Brett Fisher are separated by just 1, and Alan Slight is only 9 more back of Brett Fisher. So we have a couple of little pockets here of drivers that are very, very close together, and it's really, I think, going to mix up again this evening.
Yeah, a lot of those drivers have been fighting week in, week out with each other in that 4th and back positioning, both in the championship and out on track. Hunter Reeve, new to the series this year, has been absolutely stellar in that 44 machine. Randy Giroux has been doing very well this season, very consistent with that 24 machine, just being competitive. Hunter Holberg's been digging out some good finishes too, as has Adam Hilton, who had a lot of speed last time we went out when we were racing at Knoxville. I remember watching that number 3 and thinking he's got some speed in that car. So those guys definitely, you got to kind of get used to the swing of the weeks in, weeks out of the BRP late model tour. And I think over time, they're getting better and better and more competitive to get up there with the rest of those guys. So I would not be surprised at all to see any one of those names, if not more of them, getting into the top 3 within the next 2-3 weeks in this series and getting good results out of the next couple races.
Absolutely. I think the championship still has a lot of forming to be done. I've talked to these last couple of weeks about how much these past couple of races have helped form this championship battle that we're going to see evolve over the remaining weeks of this schedule. There's still a whole lot more shaping to be done, and it's guys like Ryder Schrauf on screen now that are going to change things up, I think. He's a little ways down in the point standings. In fact, he comes into this race 12th, an extra 4 points behind Alan Slight, but that's only 4 points back, so he might be out of the top 10, but he's got a serious opportunity tonight if he makes up the right positions to get up into that top 10 and maybe even go up to guys like Adam Hilton, Brett Fisher, and start taking the fight to them again. Several drivers have opportunities for great things to happen out of the evening. Brett Fisher on screen in that 21 car. He could absolutely do some big things this evening. Of course, we've talked so much about Randy Giroux this season. He's sporting a brand new paint scheme in his well, still purple 24. It just, man, it looks fantastic. A shout out to series partner Matt DeRitter Designs for getting that one together. And this is a great segue to also talk about Bicknell Racing Products, the namesake of the BRP iRacing series, Jam Performance, Pete Costco Haulage, and Miller's Auto Detailing. So as practice gets ready to wrap up, I do expect Randy Giroux to be a threat this evening. Brett Fisher, he's actually 4th in practice. Correa, he is 3rd. Ryder Strauss, 2nd. That's why I wanted to highlight that 058. So many guys that are down in the point standings. Even Corby Daniels, who comes in the 16th position, is currently 6th in practice.
Yeah, a lot of those names are coming up to the front end of practice, and I think practice sets you up really nicely to run with the later stage of the feature, because we work the track in during practice to see the slickening off of it. So as we go into qualifying, it's going to reset, and these guys are going to get set up based off of speed once more. But I think those names up at the top end for practice are going to be the ones to watch later on in the evening.
I guess we're about to find out. Dean Meitzer, one of the first onto the speedway. He will take his number 49 Coors Light Dirt late model onto the high banks of Lanier Raceplex, located quite nicely in Brazelton, Georgia, literally just across the street from the world-class Michelin Raceway at Road Atlanta. Fantastic road course. We had Nork there a couple of weeks back, but I do like that we've got this dirt version of Lanier. Boy, it makes for some great racing as Dean Meitzler works around turns 3 and 4 to complete his first flying lap here in qualifying. Not quite fastest just yet. It actually looks like Gavin Eisel will take that crown, as Holberg will slot into 2nd, Miller 3rd, and others timing in.
Gavin Eisel jumps back to P2 as Randy Giroux sets the fastest lap time. Hunter Holberg, Travis Miller, Tanner Correa, they currently hold out the top 5. You're watching Randy Giroux and now Ryder Strauss, one of those guys we want to watch and see what that 058 is going to be able to do. He looked a little slow there on that one as we look at Brett Fisher now out on track in car number 21. He's going to try to see if he can jump his car all the way up to the top end as he comes around here. We'll see what kind of a lap this number 21 is going to put in.
And Fisher didn't get a time in that time through. I think these guys are getting one extra lap to get up to speed here. I think they're getting to go out onto the racetrack, turn that lap, and then one more before they actually time in. I'm not so sure, but we're now watching Earl Jackson. We might get a decent idea of exactly how that's working out. He is one of 3 drivers left to set a time, and he's in a different paint scheme this evening. Still scored as the 58 car, but now showing the 111, quite literally spelled 111 on the side of his race car. It looks great. That is a nice, I mean, that makes me think of a 50s diner. He will go 11th, and then does he go faster? Yes, up to 7th with his qualifying time, and that leaves Maxime Plant, one of the final 2, to set a time. It looks like Ryder Strauss may have tapped the wall on both of his laps. No time allowed for the 058.
That's a tough break for Ryder. As we said, had a lot of speed, and we were watching to see what that 058 would do, but not going to get that one in as Maxime Plant's the last car out on track. He's 9th quick and past the line again. He will jump up to 6th. So the final car to go around and set times is going to be that number 79 machine going up into the top 10 a little further.
Here is Matt DeRitter in the 03, and he works down the backstretch now. A new paint scheme on his number 03 machine. Hunter Reeve is also on the speedway. He's still got the same trusty Operation Motorsport 44 car. And I think, yeah, they're the only 2 left on the racetrack. Now DeRitter, the only one left on the racetrack. Just 10 seconds left to go in this qualifying session, but actually kind of surprised by the fact that everybody dipped out that quickly. Usually we see some of these guys run extra practice laps like we're seeing DeRitter do, but hey, this is only going to help so much in the heat race. Of course, we had tacky track for qualifying. That'll carry over into the heats, but this place will slick off quick and dry. Excuse me, kind of a froggy throat this evening, but I think we'll be all right. But we are going to move straight on into our heat races, of course. And on the front row, it's the big show, Randy Giroux. The fastest time in qualifying. Make that 2 extra bonus points for the drive of the 24 car. That's going to help him a whole lot in that midfield. He'll start first in this first heat race with Double H, Wild Bill, whatever you want to call him, who is outside. Hunter Holberg starting 2nd in heat 1. Starting 3rd in heat number 1, it's the thriller Travis Miller, who needs to make up 5 points to Maxime Plant. He could make up to 4 of them here in this heat race. We'll see how he does. Starting from the 3rd position, Tanner Correa starts to his outside in the 4th spot in heat 1. Starting 5th place in the first heat. It'll be Adam Hilton in that 3 car with Matt DeRitter to his outside. The 03 scored as the double 03. And the back 2 cars in this heat race will be none other than the Beef, Corby Daniels in the 88 car, and Dean Meitzler in that 49. 8 cars set to go for 8 laps the distance. We had just 16 connect this evening, so a bit of a lighter field compared to what we're used to here, Joe, but I think it should still be a dandy under the Georgia sunset. We're coming around now, 1 pace lap complete. This will complete our second, and we will go green flag racing this time by. This is the BRP iRacing series on PitStop TV. A big shout out goes out to all the series partners: Bicknell Racing Products, Matt DeRitter Designs, Jam Performance, Costco Haulage, and Miller's Auto Detailing. The green flag waiting to be shown to this field of drivers, and out of turn number 4 and across the line, we are green. Out of turn number 4, and Randy Giroux keeps that race lead. How about the power move from the 24? But here comes the thriller down to the inside of his teammate in Double H, and he wants second.
Miller looking down low through 3 and 4 this time. Hunter Holberg kind of dancing a little bit with that car up top as Travis Miller stays to the low side. Track's plenty tacky down there. Lets him get a nice run, but he got a little bit of his teammate, a little bit of bumper to bumper as they come out of turn 2. Now he clears him, and Adam Hilton's going to go down the inside as well. Put that 3 car maybe into P3 if he can get that pass completed, as Holberg's not coming up quite yet.
Hilton is looking, and he's just about got it as he pulls a bit of a late slider, if you will, on that 99 car. This is bringing Tanner Correa into the mix. That 11 car down to the inside now of the 99, and Wild Bill moves further on back. But up front, it is all the big show. Randy Giroux walking away with this heat race. We're coming up to lap 6, 3 laps to go, and he's got a heck of a gap back to Travis Miller.
Just as fast as it starts, it gets to the ending. Randy Giroux has been putting on a class show in this heat race. Travis Miller's still holding on pretty good with a lot of speed in that 22 machine, but as they come to the stripe, 2 to go, so chalk sticks up for the 24 machine. He's got Travis Miller far enough behind, and I think if he just keeps himself clean and stays out of trouble, he should be able to walk away with the heat win tonight.
This is looking good for the driver of the 24. And out of turn number 4, the white flag in the air for the number 24 machine. That purple just looks so good as the night sets. Travis Miller still working to get up there, but it's just not going to happen. Out of the final corner on the final lap in heat race number 1, and Travis Miller just can't get there. The heat win goes to Randy Giroux. That's 4 points, plus the pole time of 2 points. That's big, actually, in the point standings for Randy Giroux. Miller, Hilton, Holberg, Correa, Daniels, Meitzler, DeRitter. The rest of your results in the first heat this evening. And with those 8 laps out of the way, that means we can move quickly on then to heat race number 2. Starting first, it is the 18 car of Gavin Eisel, somebody we've been watching out for in recent weeks. This 18 might have something for the field this evening. He'll start to the inside of the 21 of Brett Fisher. Starting third in heat race number 2, the gentleman Maxime Plant. Boy, he's got to get a couple of spots if he wants to match or gain on Travis Miller through these heat race. They do pay points. 4 to the heat race winner, 3rd to 2nd, and so on. 3rd gets 2, and 4th gets 1. Starting in that 4th position will be Earl Jackson, the Lima Land winner. Starting 5th in heat race number 2, it is the 45 car, Jamie Porter, somebody who is so fast at Lima Land, he might be fast this evening. Watch out for him. Starting 5th in this heat race, Hunter Reeve will start to his outside back row in heat race number 2, just the 2 car of Alan Slight and the 058 of Ryder Schrauf.
This is going to be very interesting to see what Schrauf can do from the tail end of the field, and I'm definitely going to be watching Eisel. I think he likes to bottom feed on racetracks, and especially when they're tacky, that's going to help him. So we're definitely going to watch out to see if we can get another first-time heat winner this season. Obviously, Giroux got his first heat win of the season just out, so we'll see if we can get another one right here when we get this green flag.
Coming through turns 3 and 4 for the final time in heat racing action. Just 2 heats this evening. This is the second of them. Gavin Eisel on pole. Everybody jumps up on the bars quickly. We're racing down to turn 1. And out of turn number 4, Gavin Eisel still leads. Jamie Porter around, and the 45 car is spun in turn number 4. Everybody else keeps racing. Side by side are Fisher and Plant.
I think Porter might be able to get this squared away, that we won't get a yellow. Maxime Plant digging well on the bottom side right now. He's down below Brett Fisher as they race for second place past the line again. 2 laps down. and Gavin Eisel out front running away with it. You see him go purple last time by. As they come through 3 and 4 again, he'll get closer and closer to the end of this one. He's still got Fisher and Plant running side by side behind him. That's what he wants to see up front.
Still this side-by-side battle. Earl Jackson now looking like he wants to get into it. Oh, contact there between Plant and Fisher. Fisher working that top, and he might be able to hold Plant down there. That top side isn't quite worked in just yet, but just because of momentum and being able to restrict the entry and exit of that inside car, he might be able to hold tough. But Maxime Plant, he's a bottom feeder. He makes it work. He takes that spot.
Plant ran really well through 3 and 4 right there, and I was starting to wonder about Fisher because you see it starting to get a little bit slippery and a little bit slimy in the middle of the track where Fisher was right there, getting very loose. Once they run this track in, it gets slick, and Maxime Plant's making the most of it right now. I was wondering if Fisher would be able to get some of the tacky stuff up top and get him through, but as you can see him fall back to 4th right here. Big slider. Earl Jackson tried to go through and over-under, gets Fisher back up into the top 3.
Here comes Jackson trying again on the bottom side. It's not quite good just yet, but up front, it is all Gavin Eisel in this 18 car. He's just got a half a lap to go to make it 4 points. And out of turns 3 and 4, the 18 car, Gavin Eisel, will net that 4-point gain. He wins heat race number 2. Maxime Plant checks in second. Brett Fisher at the line gets Earl Jackson. No, Earl Jackson got him back for 3rd. Fisher falls to 4th. Hunter Reed 5th. Alan Slight, Ryder Schrauf, and Jamie Porter, the rest of your heat number 2 results. And just like that, Joe Donahue, we are ready to go feature racing from the Lanier Raceplex, and we will walk you down your BRP iRacing Series starting grid. Starting on that front row, pole winner, Heat 1 winner, the Big Show Randy Giroux in that 24 car. This could be a fantastic opportunity for him starting from pole for our feature event. Gavin Eisel will start to his outside. Another big opportunity as he comes in 4th in the point standings. Starting on the inside of row number 2, the Thriller Travis Miller in that 22 car with Maxime Plant, his championship rival, to his outside. Starting 5th this evening, in the number 3 car, Adam Hilton will roll off from the inside of row number 3 with Earl Jackson, Lima Land race winner, to his outside. For the final of the top half of the field this evening, Hunter Holberg, Wild Bill, starts to the inside of row number 4, Brett Fisher to his outside in 8th.
Looking back to row number 5, we start the second half off with Tanner Correa in car number 11. His outside, we'll see Hunter Reeve in car number 54 from Operation Motorsport. Going back to row number 6, we've got The Beef, Corby Daniels, starting P11, and starting 12th outside him will be Alan Slight in car number 2. Going back to 13th on the grid, Dean Meitzler in the silver, number 49, and the 058 definitely going to be watching to see if Ryder Schrauf can take that car to the front throughout this 40-lap event. And the final row on the field, starting on the inside, the 03 on your screen, that's Matt DeRitter, and on his outside will be a driver who we're expecting to see a lot out of him. He's got a lot of work to do from that final spot on the grid. Jamie Porter rounds out the field.
But it's less work than if he was starting from the back in say, a 24-car race. Certainly, I think best case scenario, if you're going to start dead last, do it in a race weekend where there's a few fewer cars. So we'll see how it goes for the 45 car this evening. But up front, it is all Randy Giroux as we work into the final couple of corners on this final pace lap. We're about to turn them all loose. 16 cars in total, 40 laps the distance. Let's get dirty at Lanier. Couple of cars wadded up on the outside of turn number 3, and that is going to produce a caution flag. It looks like Corby Daniels one of them, and I think Jamie Porter was the other.
That's a tough break for those guys starting it off. I think we got a full lapse distance in under green before the leaders got back to the line. There was a great race going on up front, and we'll hope to see that come back to us when we get the green flag again on the restart, but we'll catch the replay here. So we're watching Corby Daniels. Ryder Schrauf right there just ran out of racing room down the back straightaway, and nothing that Corby was going to be able to do. He even got sent into that exit off the racetrack, which is a tough spot to get stuck. So he thankfully got out of there, and we'll hopefully be able to get that car reset and back out in the grid. Ryder Schrauf shouldn't be too far off, but not the way you want to start off your evening.
No, not at all. Trouble certainly for these couple of drivers. You see that bright blue 88 car bottom side, that's Daniels. He's going to move up, and I think he just tries to clear up right there, and Ryder was up there. I think that's just a miscue on lap 1. It's easy to have happen, and you see what happens for these two drivers.
Yeah, a fairly minor one too. I think definitely something that those guys could recoup from and get back into the swing of things. Not too big of a deal and just kind of a racing ordeal. Definitely going to be watching out as they go back to racing again, and we'll see what happens with those guys at the tail. But up front, still a good battle between Randy Drew and Gavin Eisel, leading them down the back straightaway. Eisel running up top very well. Travis Miller now going to the bottom. Catfish off the bottom, see if he can get up to the race lead.
And now Miller down to the inside of Giroux as Giroux loses the lead. Eisel goes purple with that race lead. A caution flag already back out, and we've wadded him up once more. It looks like DeRitter this time.
Matt DeRitter off the tail of the field. We'll pull up a replay and get on screen what happened to that 03 machine. Pretty solid restart from the mid-pack. I was pretty impressed by the amount of space everybody was holding on to, but you see Ritter in the middle of a 3-wide situation right here through 3 and 4. He's right on the outside of Slight. And yeah, just a little bit off of Dean Meitzler, came down the racetrack a bit, and DeRitter caught up and around. Didn't get spun too bad, not too much damage on that car, but definitely worth the yellow right there.
And so that halts our progress this evening. Gavin Eisel, though, the race leader, and that, I think, is the biggest surprise so far of the night. I was not expecting him to get up there and pass Randy quite that quickly, but he got up there and he took that race lead. And I say it's surprising, I think, just because of the circumstances. Certainly not based on his speed so far this season, because Gavin has got to be one of the best that we just haven't talked about for a race win. Certainly, I think, the best driver based on points and just optics, just the way you look at it, I think opinions. He's got to be considered the best driver currently without a race win this season. That could change this evening. Maybe he picks up that first win. He'll pace the field down to turns 3 and 4. We will take the green flag momentarily to start up lap number 4. Hopefully this one stands green for just a little bit, and we can go through a bit of the field. On the bars already, and Eisel has this field restarted.
What a great restart by Gavin Eisel right there. We get past 10% of the way through this race. Gavin Eisel goes back up to the top. He's got an entire track there. He's not side by side with anybody. Maxime Plant and Randy Giroux are behind him for second place. That's definitely going to hold those guys up a little bit and keep them from challenging that number 18 as they're 3 wide. Travis Miller trying to show a thrill right here. He is known as the Thriller, and in the middle right now he's making it exciting for us here on PitStop TV.
Yeah, Miller's definitely working on that 24 car. We saw him try to do this in the heat. He couldn't quite get there to work on Randy, though. And now Maxime Plant starting to tango with all of them. You see a few cars getting tangled up. That was, I think, Fisher and Reeve. A little bit of contact down the backstretch. They got it sorted out, and we keep racing. Randy Giroux still trying to find something. And that 24 car, it looks good, but he's just looking a bit squirrely.
Yeah, right now he looks like he's kind of falling out underneath him a little bit. He's got to get used to the track getting older right now. It's getting a little slick, and I think right now Travis Miller's got that car dialed into the slick stuff a little better than Giroux. Just give him some time. We got plenty of time and plenty of race to run. Maxime Plant running behind him. That's usually a good sign if you've got Maxime Plant following your line through the corner.
That's a fair point. If Maxime Plant is doing what you're doing something right. We continue on, and a caution flag comes out. And this time, we just talked about it. Maxime Plant in trouble along with Travis Miller. This happened literally just outside of our frame down the backstretch.
And that's not what either of those guys wanted to see up at the top end of the point standings. They got a little bit of a buffer, but I wouldn't be willing to give up points just yet. There's a lot of hungry drivers in this field. We'll catch the replay back. There were a lot of cars in that slew together. As you see Maxime Plant riding behind Travis Miller, they go into the turn and just Travis. Yeah, that's a tough break for those guys. Just caught Travis out and around in front of the field. I think that was Slight going underneath, playing groundhog underneath Travis Miller there in the bottom of 2.
And it is really hard to stop these cars, but I think they maybe could have done a slightly better job of it. But man, they really had some troubles there in turns 1 and 2. This will be another look at things, and Maxime just gets into him. I mean, I think it just comes down to the fact that this is iRacing. You can't put a late model nose under a late model rear end quite like you can in real life. Unfortunately, hitboxes just don't quite allow it. Man, the 22 doing the opposite of getting ramped. I'm not exactly sure how that one works, but boy, that's tough regardless for those guys, and that will stop us here at Lanier, but it's back under caution flag, but we are coming already back to a restart, and Gavin Eisel, just like that, has the field back under his command, and we're back racing.
Gavin Eisel is rocking these restarts right now. He ran off the bottom side very well. I was wondering on that first restart if he was going to get a good run off the bottom since he had run from the top very well throughout the very beginning run of this race. He goes from the bottom to the top on the front straightaway there. You see Earl Jackson making a move up past the Big Show, and he is putting that 1-1-1 in second place right now. Randy Giroux goes to the bottom. Adam Hilton also in the picture with that caution. So these three guys now racing for second place very competitively as the track's getting a little older. We're getting closer to the halfway point of this one.
Giroux is starting to work that bottom side, and now he'll move up high in 3 and 4. Look at that 3 wide behind him. Fisher through the middle. Holberg down low, but a caution flag behind, and Ryder Schrauf is in trouble.
That 058 car brings out another yellow for us. They will get them woed down. That was some very exciting 3 wide action right there, so we'll definitely be watching those guys on the restart to see what they're capable of. But you got Ryder Schrauf on the inside of the beef right here as we come down the front stretch. The 058 down on the inside, a little bit slicker down there. Tried a slide job and just a little bit of a love tap from behind. Nothing major for Ryder Schrauf.
Just a little happenstance there. They got into one another. They had a little bit of an incident. But I will say, if you are running at the back of the field, the one thing you can't do is wreck while racing for the back of the field. But a little stoppage shouldn't take us too far off of what was starting to be a pretty good race up front. We'll get another chance to do it all over again. Pace car lights already out. Boy, the Quickie Yellow's in full force this evening. And Gavin Eisel maintains that race lead. Let's update you on everything else. Earl Jackson up to second. You see Randy Giroux third. Adam Hilton moved up to fourth. Brett Fisher now fifth. Hunter Holberg in sixth. Matt DeRitter up to seventh. Tanner Correa in eighth. You got Hunter Reeve and Alan Slight, the rest of your top 10. We're back green flag just like that.
Eisel with another really great run off the bottom side. These guys are going to have to figure out what they can do up top if they want to be able to compete with that 18 car off the restarts. Giroux stays low. Earl Jackson running up at the cushion. Brett Fisher on the bottom side as well. Adam Hilton beside him. Those two race for fourth off of the final corner. Past the line, Hilton got the momentum off the top. He's right behind Randy Giroux, who jumps up top. Earl Jackson's putting on some pressure to that number 18 car as he rips the lip up top.
And this is what we saw at Lima Land a little bit. We saw that 58 come in the mid-race, but we know that he fell off at Lima Land. We'll see if that changes this evening. He has got speed. Eisel moves up, takes that line away down the front stretch and nerfs that momentum. But at some point, it's not going to work out. It might happen here. Earl Jackson, ooh, almost got there.
Earl Jackson's got a lot of speed right now. Eisel's trying his best to run a line that he can block the momentum that Earl's getting off the corner. He couldn't quite get up in front of the 58 down
that might do
the stretch at that time. And this will give
caution.
Almost as it gave Earl Jackson a chance. Gavin Eisel taking a huge sigh of relief for this yellow flag right here.
Boy, that came in clutch for the driver of the 18 car. Meanwhile, this is another one happening pretty deep in the field. Dean Meisler and Corby Daniels racing for about the 14th, maybe 13th position on the racetrack, and in turns 1 and 2. Again, just someone getting in the back of somebody, and oh my.
Dean Meisler is upside down right there. It looked like Dean kind of backed it into the corner a little bit more than he wanted to, lost a little more momentum than Corby did behind him, and then obviously Corby just into the tail of the 49 machine, unfortunately sends him upside down. Dean's going to get that car back out on track. That's not the way you want to see your evening continue on, and that's a tough break for Dean Meisler, just trying to dig a couple more spots and a couple more points out of that mid-pack.
Yeah, you can see he just gets turned around and then up and over. I did not expect that. I would not have expected that out of that kind of contact, but sure enough, up and over onto his lid as we get ready to go back green flag racing up at the front of the field. Gavin Eisel gets the field back under his control. A good little restart, and he pulls back away.
Another excellent restart from the 18, but it actually looks like Earl Jackson held on pretty well up top. Not too bad. He's within striking distance already, coming down the backstretch for the first time off of that restart. 2, 3, and 4. He's just going to have to try to see if he can do the same thing again as they're 3 wide behind him. If they can catch up to Earl, or if Earl's going to catch up to Gavin. Hilton had a good run there. We got another yellow flag out on the track. That one's Tanner Correa, almost upside down, but not quite.
Yeah, he went for a ride, and here we go. We're getting into that mid-race part of things where nobody wants to give an inch, and nobody is going to give an inch. I think unless we can get 10 laps or so underway, I think this could be the pace that we go through the rest of the evening. Restarts certainly do matter, and it could be the talking point the rest of the evening. It looks like Alan Slight just gets into the back of Correa. You saw he and Hunter Reeve exited turn 4 really close together, and then I don't know if maybe Tanner just backed up a little bit, but through whatever means the 2 car just gets into the back end of the 11 and sends him up and over. Thankfully kept that car on all 4 wheels for the most part. He got up in the air a little bit, but did not go over.
Yeah, fortunate for him there. It seems like the track's just, it's kind of narrow as a course. It's a shorter course, and the late models are larger vehicles right now. So I think part of the ordeal is we're just dealing with a little bit bigger cars than we have with in a while with this racetrack. And obviously we took the big blocks here, but I think these guys are just kind of getting used to the size of these cars. And then obviously, like you mentioned before, Andrew, having to deal with the pressure boxes of the cars on the sim, that you can't quite stick your nose underneath the tail of another late model as they go back to green flag racing. They were single file that time, was kind of expecting double file, but they sent it to single file, and Gavin Eisel's going to lead them off, go down the bottom side through 1 and 2 this time.
At green flag racing, and that's a move we usually see at a BRP iRacing series admins. When a race starts to get a little bit rough, send them single file, see if that tames things down. It does, at least for the first lap. We get that one in green. Gavin Eisel leads things now through 1 and 2, but boy, that bottom side is just not working out for him. He got an extra little jump up on Earl Jackson, but he has got to move up and figure out that top side very, very quick, or he is going to lose that race lead.
Yeah, the bottom is helping Eisel off the restarts a lot, and it's giving him the chance to get out in front of Earl Jackson, but it seems like Earl's a lot faster up on the cushion at the top end of the racetrack, and Gavin needs to, kind of see what he can do, get up to the top side and see if he can block some of that momentum or take some of it for himself from that 111 car. As he's got a great run off of turn 2. Seems like Eisel's getting a little squiggly wiggly out of turn number 2 each time we go through that corner, and through 3 and 4 this time, you're going to see a battle for the lead come from it. Earl Jackson up top as we go through 1 and 2.
And Jackson led at the line out of turn number 2. He's almost got him cleared into 3. Maybe a little too high up in 3 and 4 that time for Earl Jackson, but across the line again, he gets the lead again. And, I think he's got him at this point. It's just going to take a couple of laps to complete the pass, but very quickly, you're going to see that 111 take over the race lead. That bottom just does not hold up after about 20 laps. That's exactly when that pass was made, and now he has him cleared into turn 1. It's only going to get more and more clear for the race lead. Randy Giroux, though, sitting in behind. He is not out of this race just yet, Joe. He's sitting in a fantastic little spot, and he is getting the top side going. We could see a little repeat of that incident where, not that incident, but that pass, if Giroux can get up there.
Randy Giroux is running up top very well right now, and it looks like the bottom side is slicking off. You can see by how shiny it is down low. Gavin Eisel definitely has some work to do to keep it at least where he is right now, which is pretty impressive that Gavin can stay in second place so well, as Randy Giroux's running that cushion very, very precisely and very efficiently up at the top side of the racetrack, maintaining a lot of momentum, and he's even gaining on Earl Jackson up there.
I'm starting to see that 18 car over-rotate and have to correct back to the left, having to correct a whole lot of different ways. It's not looking happy down there. He's making all right lap times. He's keeping relatively within distance to that 111 as that top side starts to slick off, but I just don't think it's going to hold up the next 12 laps of this race. We're on to lap 29 now of 40, and we've gotten a few laps in. Hang on. Knock on wood. Hopefully that continues, and I like what we're seeing up front. I just don't know if Eisel can beat Earl Jackson by running the bottom.
Well, one thing that's going on right now as well is the top side's getting worn out by everybody running up there. So Gavin Eisel, if he can just kind of stay patient as they go around, very close around the lap car there, but if he can kind of stay patient and maintain some momentum, might be okay. Maybe start searching to the middle. I see a lot of spots out the middle of the exits 2 and 4 where he maybe could get a little bit more grip.
Look at the difference in the way they set their slides. That is incredible. They're starting to catch lap traffic. You see the distance up to Jamie Porter. Look at the distance from the top 4 back to Maxime Plant, though. And actually, it's worth noting, Maxime has worked up to 5th position. We'll talk about this momentarily as he works on the inside of Brett Fisher for that 5th spot. A little bit of contact into the corner. He sorts it out, takes that spot, and now Travis Miller is in all of this. Maxime Plant has got even more points now on this 22 car. He has got to get his rear end in gear if he wants to stay within striking distance next week at Bristol. After this one's all said and done, he is losing points and losing points quick to that 79. Up front, though, we are just about side by side. Eisel's starting to take that bottom. I might have to eat my words. It's looking good.
Yeah, it seems like everybody running up top right now has kind of wore out the top side a bit, and it's helped Gavin Eisel have some speed to challenge Earl Jackson once again down on the bottom side. He stayed patient, and it's starting to pay off for him. They're going to come to 5 laps to go, so it's starting to get crunch time. Earl Jackson, Gavin Eisel, you see them side by side through 3 and 4 for the race lead, and Gavin Eisel is actually going to take it back at the line that time, so this could get exciting now that the track's a little bit more even up top and down low.
A bit of an update, rather, on some drivers. Meitzler's in the pits, and he's done. Wow, Eisel got him cleared that time. He moves up. He's taking the race lead back from Earl Jackson. I didn't expect this, but that top side's wearing out, and Jackson is struggling for grip, struggling for speed. He's had to give that lead back over, and this is a proper race for the race lead at this point. 3 laps to go. Eisel's got it.
Eisel that time, look at Earl Jackson, try to maybe make a slider.
Oh, he hit him!
Contact right there for the leaders as they come down the back straightaway. Randy Giroux just watching this happen in front of him, trying to see what speed he can get. Earl Jackson is digging to the absolute bottom of the racetrack as they come to 2 to go. Gavin Eisel trying to pin him down to the wall down low and stay in that spot. We got a great race going on right now for the race lead.
He found some grip out of turn 2, got moving, and gets back away from that 111. Jackson still digging on there. White flag, 1 to go at Lanier. What can Earl Jackson do? He's going to go up high, try and get that run for turn 3. He might be able to ship it back up the inside. A bobble out of Gavin Eisel. Can Earl Jackson get there? No, and Gavin Eisel is going to exit turn 4 and win at Lanier. I don't know what happened in front of him. Gavin Eisel!
Great run to the finish, the patience to stay down low throughout the midpoint of that race. He got Earl Jackson back on the bottom side, and even through the calamity of that final corner, Gavin Eisel finally breaks through. Finally, Gavin Eisel wins in the late model.
This is overdue, I think, for Gavin. He had some rough goings of things in the sprint cars. He was usually further back in the field, let's just be honest. Then we saw some moments of brilliance last season in the big blocks. And finally now, this guy's had speed since we unloaded at Volusia, and he gets one done. This is genuinely fantastic to see. This is one of those wins anybody can feel good about. Gavin Eisel getting things done at Lanier. This is big. This is going to reshape the season as we know it. We did not see those big players we're used to talking about up there at all. And I want to take a look back at what the heck happened back there. I know Corby Daniels was in some of it, but it's going to happen further up, and I think it's going to start in this little pack. Hunter Reeve, Matt DeRitter, Travis Miller. You see there's contact there. That pushes Reeve up the racetrack, DeRitter up the inside. What the heck happens?
Well, it looks like Miller kind of pinned DeRitter down on the bottom side there. These guys, I mean, they're racing so hard to get those last couple spots out of this one. I was starting to wonder when we came through there that time, was it them trying to be a lap down at the end of the race to not have to go around the track one more time? That's not really a strategy in dirt racing, but as you see them coming more there, Travis Miller obviously trying to dig as much as he can out of the ending stages of this race. He saw Maxime Plant fly by. Actually, Maxime Plant got up to 4th. I think that's worth noting at the end of this race as well.
Ooh.
There it is. There
wow.
It was. Big send in from Brett Fisher.
And then oh my goodness, guys.
They just keep piling in right there. Very lucky, actually, that the leaders didn't get involved in that. Now that we're seeing the full replay and seeing what actually transpired right there, very lucky and fortunate situation that Gavin Eisel didn't get caught in that at the ending stage.
What is this from Brett Fisher? What he had to have been aiming for Travis Miller. He had to have been. That's an interesting one, and then they come sliding in. That was Correa, and Jimmy Porter gets a piece, Slide as well. They all stack up. That gave some guys extra spots, but the leaders raced into it, and then these guys still had to race their final lap. That's why you saw Miller go back flying by a race winner, but wow. Wow.
I think an interesting way to end the race. I think that's a fair statement. I think that's a very intriguing and curious instance to get the checkered flag.
That is one way to put it. We will step aside momentarily. We'll take our quick post-race break as per usual. Don't go anywhere because post-race coverage then is just on the far side. Some more payback there. I wonder if drivers may not have been happy with the way that Travis Miller came back through the field. Who knows? Only time will tell if anything rears its head next week at Bristol, but we'll step aside. We'll be talking to our top 3 finishers momentarily.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to the virtual Lanier Raceplex. We just saw one heck of a finish, one heck of a battle, and I'm glad it went green when it did, and I'm glad it stayed green because, boy, we got to see the track change, and we got to see these two go at it head-to-head. Gavin Eisel versus Earl Jackson. Eisel comes out on top. We'll talk to him along with Earl Jackson and Randy Jerome momentarily. What a finish, Joe, and I'm glad we get to talk to this guy first up, Gavin Eisel, in what has got to be the biggest feel-good victory in the BRP iRacing series so far here on PitStop TV. Gavin, buddy, you finally got one. This one, I think, is overdue.
I guess, yeah.
You've had a ton of momentum all season long. You came into this race the best, both in terms of stats by numbers and I think just in terms of general opinion, without a race win. You come into Lanier, you get it done, and this is going to change up the point standings quite a bit.
I don't know how close we were to Earl. I think he was third, but it should be a good rest of the season here.
Well, I can tell you exactly how close you came in. Let me get back over to it on my screen here, and you are going to come in exactly 13 points behind Earl Jackson. Now, you don't necessarily get a ton of that in just the results alone. I think it's everything else, just the fact that you're getting momentum and the fact that you guys are both going to gain so much on Maxime Plant and Travis Miller that's going to change this championship. How do you feel going into Bristol with this momentum on your side?
I feel pretty good. Bristol's pretty one lane, I think, so had to qualify good.
And I also got to ask, now, I'll be honest, I was a bit critical of you working that bottom side so long and just staying trustworthy to bottom feeding, because obviously Earl got to you and he got on by you pretty quickly, but then suddenly you started walking back up to him. How was that battle there at the end?
Yeah, it was really cool. Me and Earl, there were races side by side for probably, 20 laps. And it was pretty cool.
So you get it done this evening, and now I think everybody's going to be on alert for this 18 car. Who do you have to thank? Who makes it happen for you?
Performance Automotive, Alex Payne from Speed Style Graphics that made the car, made the wrap anyway. Corby for putting the whole series together, and you guys for speeding up.
Gavel, wow, definitely, let's reset on that one. Gavin, I got to say, congratulations this evening. Live this one up, celebrate it this evening, and we'll see you next week at Bristol.
Alrighty. Hopefully I see you guys in here again.
Gavin Eisel gets that first race win. Again, I feel like that one's a little bit overdue, Joe, but he really had to race. The guy on his outside right there in that scored as a 58. Visually, that 111, boy, it was a heck of a fight, and I'll hand things your way.
Yeah, the driver we usually see in the 58 put a tough show up top there, Earl Jackson. This is Joe Donahue, PitStop TV. Do you got me?
I do, sir.
Well, Earl, looks like you put a little bit of mojo back in your step, rocking the top 3 once again. Tell us how you feel finally breaking through again after a little less on Knoxville, and you're up into P2 tonight.
Yeah, Knoxville, to say it was rough would be an understatement. Qualified really bad, and it just went all downhill from there. Just wanted to more or less get it done and over with. Knoxville's definitely not my best track at all. And I'm usually not that good here. I'm mainly, I don't know if you all have noticed the first couple races, but I'm not a fan of really running the top. And even though I know that's where I ran Lima Land when I won, but I'm just more of a rather cruise around the bottom. But kind of had somebody else down there, so I had to try to make something work.
Yeah, you definitely have to work yourself up the racetrack. It's sort of a game of how far you're willing to push yourself in that car, but you work the top really, really well, especially in the mid stage of the race. You got that race lead, and then at the end, it sort of seemed like it fell off a little bit, that the bottom side started being competitive again.
Yeah, the top faded probably, I don't know, probably 8 to 10 to go, somewhere in there. I could tell I wasn't, I don't know, I was having trouble getting the drive off that I was getting. And then I tried kind of diamond in a little bit and coming off a little bit lower into where it looked like the grip was, but didn't really seem like it made too much of a difference. So tried running about half a lane lower in Gavin. I just didn't want to wreck him or anything to get around him. But I'll take a second any day of the week.
Well, yeah, second place is definitely a good performance, and it helps you swing into the top steps for more points in the championship running. Tell me, what does this do for your run in the championship going forward into Bristol, Weedsport, Eldora, et cetera, et cetera? But what does it do getting you ready to keep going and keep fighting with Plant and Miller up at the top end for the championship?
It definitely gives you a little bit more confidence. It was to say there would be no confidence left after last week would be putting it lightly, because I was pretty mentally drained after that. I just kind of figured that I had no shot catching those two, but I don't really know what happened. I don't know, early on there. I don't know if Max got in there a little hot and kind of bumped Travis. I jammed up the brakes trying to miss them both. I got in the back of Max, and then I just tried gunning it out to keep the car going straight, but I don't know. There was a little bit of damage, but I don't even think it made a difference, honestly. Gavin was just really, really good on that bottom.
Well, it seemed like that, and yeah, that was about what happened from our perspective as well with Plant and Miller, but you worked through it, you got up there, and P2 rounds out your night. There's definitely some people for you to thank. Who do you got to shout out here on the broadcast? Who puts it all together for you?
Yeah, so I seen on your guys' stream, it's still got my throwback scheme on there. I forgot to switch it out before I hopped in, and then I hopped back out. I messaged y'all on there. That's actually Max Blair's father, Robbie Blair's throwback scheme that I painted a year ago. I ran it at Knoxville, hoping it'd bring me good luck, because the only time I ran it, I won. But yeah, that's that one. So my normal one, got to thank State Line Speedway, Tri-City Raceway Park, Garage Call, John McConnell, does great stuff, goes around, everybody shops around the Western PA area, just talks to drivers, it's pretty cool, get to know everybody thing. C&J Dairy, Redneck Race Chasers, Kyle Windsor, recording everything around here. MWB, Graphics and Design, JL Designs, Justin Lansing, my team, Squirrel Nation, Hackett and Brandy, thank you all. And PitStop TV for you guys doing this badass stream. And Corby Daniels for the BRP iRacing 3rd Series and putting it all on for us. Well, and real quick, I want to give a shout out to Gavin. Congrats to him. He drove a hell of a race, and it was definitely an absolute blast.
Absolutely. Sorry to cut you off there, Earl. We're very happy for that, for Gavin as well, but we're happy for you. And hey, we love throwbacks. So anytime somebody brings a throwback, we're happy. Congratulations from us here on your P2 tonight. We'll see if you can get a couple more out of Bristol and the future, and we hope to talk to you again soon. Congratulations, brother man.
Absolutely. Thank you guys very much.
And that is Earl Jackson rounding out tonight in P2, and I'm going to hand a big show back to the big man. Andrew Cardinale is going to get to talk to our 3rd place finisher here tonight at Lanier.
And Randy came in this evening. He put the purple 24 on pole. He won Heat 1. He started, of course, the feature in the first spot. He led a few laps, buddy. Unfortunately, the early goings, it seemed like that 18 car just had the best of you.
Yeah, honestly, the car was great in qualifying, and Heat 1 was awesome on the bottom, but then when Heat 2 got out there, they kind of wore in the bottom a little bit, and it honestly, it got the best of me on the start there. The car was not that good on the bottom. I couldn't really make anything happen down there. So Gavin got a great start. Both starts there. We had that lap 1 caution, which reset the field. But yeah, and he got the best of me, got around me, and I just couldn't really do anything on the bottom. I had to run the car on the top side, and I mean, it was fast on the high side, but I just couldn't get up to Earl and Gavin there at the end. It was quite a show to watch. I had a front row seat for it, but you know, the 24 rocking that new paint scheme from Matt there at MDR Designs. It sure looked good, but it was definitely fast on the high side too. Just had to stay out of trouble, and yeah, I wound up P3.
And Randy, you've been fast all season so far. I know it's only been 5 races, but you are now the best in points without a win because Gavel just got, I called him Gavel earlier. Gavin just got that win in front of you. Does this put any extra pressure on you to go out next week at Bristol and get a race win, or are you just going to go out there and still try and do your best?
Oh, I'm just going to go out there and put on a show like I always do. Just, you know, got to stay consistent, get some good practice laps in, and, you know, Bristol's definitely going to be a show. That's a fast one for sure. So, you know, just got to try and keep the doors and keep the wheels in the car next week, and we'll be all right. I'll be in good shape.
And how much is a driver, now we've started talking about these bonus points a whole lot more through qualifying. You get 2 points for qualifying first, and then you get 4 points for winning a heat. That's 6 that you started out with this evening, and that really helps, especially if you don't quite stay in first place. Third, it's still great, but you're losing a couple of points to those guys that you're chasing. How much do those bonus points help you from a driver's perspective, and are you going into the early portions of the evening with that on your mind?
Oh yeah, definitely. The points definitely help out a lot in the race for the championship there, and you know, I mean, everybody I'm sure has that on their mind. They want to win qualifying, they want to win their heats and whatever. But you know, it really helps when you capitalize on that, and you know, 6 extra points. It sure helped. You know, not finishing first. So it yeah, it played out pretty well.
Well, yeah, you're gonna walk out of here with a pretty nice points haul, all said and done. I'm trying to find, again, the points coming into this evening, just so I can read those off to you. So you come in, it looks like 6 points back of Gavin Eisel, and even with him finishing in front of you this evening, you're only losing a handful. It's going to be, it looks like 11. That's only 5. Given everything, considering he won his heat race and he's finishing so far in front of you, to only lose that much, that's got to feel pretty good. So keep it up in qualifying and heats. That's what I want you to take away from this one. You've got a win coming for you. Who do you have to thank? Who did a shout out this evening?
All right, so I got to shout out my parents and my grandparents watching back at home in Canada, and also my roommate Tristan, who's watching downstairs. And I got to thank Aqua Service Niagara, Ryan and Crystal. They always tune in and always there supporting me. And got to thank Corby for putting on the series. You know, he puts a lot of time and effort into this and puts on a good show every week. And I got to thank Bicknell Racing Products too. You know, they're the title sponsor of the series, and yeah.
Absolutely. Randy, thanks so much for your time. Congratulations on a podium. We'll see you next week at Bristol.
Yeah, thank you. You guys have a good night.
You as well. And that's Randy Giroux, the big show, finishing up front this evening. That's got to feel pretty good. And I talked about those updated standings. I did some work over here while Joe was talking to Earl Jackson, and I can tell you that Maxime Plant is going to walk out of Lanier sitting pretty. Even though he had a rough race, he got back up to 4th place, and that's going to do a lot for him in the point standings, considering where the 22 car finished, not even in this top 10. So a lot is about to change here, Joe. A lot is going to be different next week at Bristol. But Gavin Eisel gets that W. That's the most important part. Earl Jackson, he finishes 2nd place. Randy Giroux 3rd. Maxime Plant, like I said, recovers to 4th. Adam Hilton holds on to a pretty nice 5th place finish. Wild Bill finishes 6th. He's had a string of nicely consistent yet quiet finishes, and he continues that this evening. Hunter Reeve right there with him. You cannot separate those two Hunters. Matt DeRitter, he finishes 8th.
Looking back to the second half of the field, you got Corby Daniels in P9, and running out your top 10 will be Tanner Correa in car number 11. In the 11th spot at the end of this one, Travis Miller did not get that car together quite as well as Maxime Plant at the very end and end up P11. Alan Slate going to finish 1 lap down in 12th. Brett Fisher in 13th, also 1 lap down at the end of it. Ryder Schrauf finishes in 14th with Dean Meisler in 15th, and Jamie Porter, unfortunate way to end out at the tail end of the field for the 5 tonight. But that is your field from Lanier. Andrew, it's been a pretty great show. Those guys raced really well up at the top end of the field all through the night.
Yeah, there was fantastic racing through and through. Like I said earlier, I'm glad it went green when it did because it allowed that battle up front to take place. And that made the race for the win a lot more dynamic than just nailing restarts, which we've seen a lot of so far this season. So I'm really glad these guys got it together in that last little run, and we were able to let that one just run out to fruition. I think that definitely is the reason we got to see that battle play out. I'm not so sure that Earl Jackson could have given Gavin such a run for his money if it was just a matter of restarts, because of course the leader gets such that big jump. But before we go anywhere else, before we take any longer here this evening, of course, want to give a big shout out to all of the series partners here with the BRP iRacing series. Of course, Bicknell Racing Products, the namesake of the BRP iRacing series. Matt Narito Designs, painting a lot of cars throughout this field, including that brand new 24 car. Jam Performance, Joe Matthews, he does a fantastic job. Pete Costco Haulage as well. And Miller's Auto Detailing. He's got a lot to detail in that 22 car after this one. That was a rough one for him. But, man, just fantastic racing through and through, and it would not be possible without these guys with the BRP iRacing series. A big shout out as well to our partners here at PitStop TV, Tucson Sound Art, your picture, your music, and that might sound a little bit like a weird tagline, but that's what it means. You provide the picture you want, they will custom create a beautiful framed high quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. It's a fantastic product. I stand by it through and through, day in, day out, and I will for a long time. Possibly till the day I die, we'll see. But certainly a fantastic product that Pat and Gail and everybody else puts out over at Tucson Sound Art. I highly recommend checking into them at TucsonSoundArt.com, as well as their social media pages on Facebook and Instagram. And you can use promo code PitStopTV at checkout for 10% off of your order. These broadcasts also brought to you by Race Pace Setups, the place to go if you want to pick up tenths, seconds even, within iRacing GT races, particularly GT3 races, but they've got more than just that to offer. Make sure you check out their Discord channel to see what else they've got. These broadcasts, of course, always brought to you by Permanent Makeup and Cryo and Man, the official, not the official, I did that last night as well, but anyways, Ashley Bollier will get you taken care of. Summer's coming around, the world is opening back up a little bit. Make sure you get looking right with Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. I know Maine isn't usually thought of as a beach state, but there's plenty of places to go out and enjoy the summer in the state of Maine. You want to make sure you visit Ashley and her fantastic specialists up in the state of Maine. 4 locations now: Naples, Auburn, Lewiston, and Saco, Maine is opening up soon. Make sure to check them out, permanentmakeupinmaine.com, as well as Whiplash Media, the official graphic and camera provider of PitStop TV and BAM Racing videos by a race fan for the racing community. Final thoughts real quick, Joe, from Lanier.
Well, I think the track worked in really nicely throughout the run. We only had 16 cars out there, but with the shorter track and the great racing we had, I think it fit them very well. A great race up at the front end, and I really like to see the development of the 2 lines on the racetrack over the course of the middle into the end of that race. Gavin Isel winning, that was a feel-good moment, and obviously to see Earl Jackson back in the top 3. Even Randy Giroux breaking in for the first time this season, I think that's a great way to end out the evening. And you know, what more could you say? Looking forward to Bristol next time. I think it's going to be exciting, and obviously Bristol's quite a show on the dirt, so I'm looking forward to it, and I'm satisfied with the way tonight went. I think the guys drove this track very well.
Absolutely. I think the season is shaping up to be a good one from here on out. Plenty of points battles to talk about, plenty of storylines week in, week out. Make sure to follow along on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter for every single race of the BRP iRacing series moving forward in the rest of 2021. That will conclude our coverage tonight, however, of the BRP iRacing Series Pro Late Model Tour. We at PitStop TV thank you so much for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. The channel stays active weekly, daily, whatever it may be, even hourly. You can catch a variety of racing coming up this week and in just about 45 minutes when we go live with the Pacific Challenge Cup Series from Hockenheimring with the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars. That'll be a fun one this evening. Got a new race format to talk about. Make sure you're there. 10 p.m. Eastern we go live. We'll have racing somewhere about 10:15, 10:20. Make sure to be there. Tomorrow night we've also got the Nork iRacing Series from Homestead Miami Speedway. Another one of the 1.5s, the intermediate racetracks that produce such fantastic racing with those NASCAR Xfinity Series cars. Should be a fun one. A lot of storylines over there as well. Make sure you don't miss it at 6:40 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Wednesday, we've got the BRP Asphalt Modified Tour at the Tucson Speedway Motorsports Park up in Connecticut. Those tour mods, they put on fantastic racing. Doesn't matter how many cars are in the field. They've got great stuff week in, week out. And a lot of these names carry over. A lot of new names come in. It's always great racing. On Wednesday nights, we'll have Eric Brennan on for the call of that one, which just makes sense. He calls modifieds in real life. He ought to call modifieds in the sim. We're finally going to make that one happen. Friday night, we'll have the LTAC Cup Series from the Phoenix Raceway. That should be a fun one as they near their playoffs when they set the 16 drivers that will fight for a championship over the course of 11 races. And Sunday evening, we'll have Cross Series League Racing in their finale, their season finale, with the Spec Racer Fords at the WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. And then, of course, Monday night next week, you can catch these guys back at it again, getting dirty from the Bristol Motor Speedway next Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/PitStop on Twitter at PitStopTV_, on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/Pit_Stop_TV, on Instagram at Pit_Stop_TV, and on YouTube at www.youtube.com/C/PitStopTV1. For all of Pit Stop TV this evening, Joe Donahue on the mic with me, Trey Shuttlesworth on our social media coverage. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and we will see you next time, hopefully in about 44 more minutes here with the Pacific Challenge Cup Series. Make sure to be back for that one. We'll see you next time.